y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is a SummerSlam review / results show. If you've seen, we had a prediction challenge with my good friend Paul from Gamers Never Grow Up. Made a video challenging him. Basically, whoever gets the most right wins. So we're going to go through that as well as reviewing the show. Let's jump right in because we have a lot to cover. Basically, before I do, we rate everything on a 1 to 5 scale. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. So if you've never seen any of my videos, that's what we're going to judge it by. The first match of the night was Rusev and Lana versus Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega. Both Paul and I picked this one right. We both picked Vega and Almas to win. Vega and Almas did win. I thought it felt, I don't know, that they didn't give it enough time or didn't put enough effort behind it. I'm going to give the match a 2 out of 5. I thought it was okay. It could have been a lot better, though. Next up, we had our first title match of the night. Cedric Alexander defending the Cruiserweight Championship against Drew Gulak. We both picked this one correctly, Cedric Alexander. I like this match a little bit more. I'm a fan of Cedric Alexander. I'm a fan of Drew Gulak as well. I'm going to give this match a 3 out of 5. I thought it was good. This is more what I expect from the pre-show. But it kind of... Pre-show felt a little bit like lackluster effort on a couple of the matches, which there were 3 matches on, and the third match on the pre-show, you'll see what I'm getting at here, we had the B Team defending the Raw Tag Team Championships against the Revival. I got this one wrong, Paul got this one right. The B Team picked up the win, so Paul's ahead by 1. I'm going to give this match a 2 out of 5. Like I said with Rusev and Lana versus Almas and Vega, this one, not only did it feel like a Monday Night Raw match, but it felt like a bad Monday Night Raw match. It didn't feel like something that would entice me if I was watching the SummerSlam pre-show to buy SummerSlam, and that's what the pre-show is supposed to do. So to me, it fell flat. So that's 2 out of the 3 pre-show matches fell flat. 1 I thought was okay, could have been better. Which brings us into the main show. We have Dolph Ziggler defending the Intercontinental title, being accompanied by Drew McIntyre, versus Seth Rollins, who's being accompanied by Dean Ambrose. We both picked this one right. We both picked Rollins. We both believed that Ambrose would be the determining factor, which he helped him win. Again, I'm going to give this match a 3 out of 5. It could be the placing on this. I've seen a lot of people like this match a lot more than I did when I was watching the Twitter feed go by and some of the reviews I've read going into this. Could just be personal preference. It could be overkill of watching these two over and over again. Burn out a little bit. But I'm giving it a 3. I just thought it was an okay match. With the talent caliber of all 4 guys involved in this, I expect a 4 or 5. So maybe my expectations were a little bit high, but I think to me it was just an okay match. Now the next match was for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. We have the Bludgeon Brothers versus the New Day. The New Day win by disqualification. We were both wrong. We both thought that the Bludgeon Brothers were going to win. So we both picked with them. I didn't get this. It didn't make sense. I mentioned it already with Raw, but this felt like a SmackDown match. This felt like a throwaway match, not something you would see on a pay-per-view. I'm going to give this match a 2 out of 5. We were both wrong on it. We both thought Bludgeon would win, but New Day won by DQ. Next up, we have probably my most disappointing match of the night. That's Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens. We both picked this one wrong. We both thought Owens would win. I thought at the very least Owens might be a little bit competitive. Here you have a guy that is a former Universal Champion and a high-level talent, a high-level talker, one of the highlights of Monday Night Raw, and I understand that Braun Strowman is a special type of talent. I like him, don't get me wrong. This is not a knock on Braun Strowman at all, but to have a guy the caliber of Kevin Owens jobbing or losing so easily to Braun Strowman, where it was barely even a competitive match at all, it kind of devalued Kevin Owens in my opinion. You can have him lose, but give him some more offense than what he did. Make it look like he might potentially win. Even if it's by cheating, give him a little bit. To me, it really felt like Kevin Owens was just a guy they picked up from a local indie show to feed to Strowman. We both picked Kevin Owens, so we were both wrong on this one. I give this match a 1 out of 5. I like Braun Strowman a lot better than what this was, and I think he's a lot more gifted than just these run-through squash matches. I think he's actually a talented wrestler who's grown leaps and bounds since coming onto the roster. And Kevin Owens, I think, is one of the elite talents they have on the entire WWE roster, so I'm not sure why he was used in this manner. Next up, we have the SmackDown Women's Championship 3-way match. Carmella's defending her title against Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. Paul picked this one right. He picked Charlotte. Again, this felt like a SmackDown match to me. I'm giving it a 2 out of 5. I don't know if watching TakeOver and judging this after TakeOver had clouded my vision a bit, but we're going to get into, there's a run in a little bit of some really good matches. It really felt like this could have been on any SmackDown that we see any week. Charlotte wins the title. Paul picked that right. I thought that they were going to find a way for Carmella to keep the belt with it being turned into a 3-way. And if not, actually, if you watch my prediction video, Charlotte was the person I least thought would win. I thought they would find a way for Becky to win. The only saving grace came after the match when Becky essentially turned heel on Charlotte and added some flair to her character, no pun intended. But I don't know. It just fell flat again. Next up, we have AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe. I picked this match right. I picked Joe to win. Joe won by disqualification. I'm giving this match a 4 out of 5. Even with the weird gimmickness at the end. And we'll get into that for a second, because SummerSlam is one of the big 4 pay-per-views. I don't think they should build for a next pay-per-view at SummerSlam. I think that SummerSlam should be the pay-per-view you build to on other pay-per-views. But that's a little nitpicky. I don't think Samoa Joe and AJ Styles can have a bad match with each other. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. I liked it. I liked the end of it. I liked the intensity. I liked the fact that they involved AJ's actual wife and daughter. It added something to it. Samoa Joe is the most believable, most credible heel they have anywhere on their roster. He is light years above most of the people, and I hate that he's basically treading water. I hate that he's not being used to his full potential. So I gained 1 back on Paul. He's only up by 1. Next up, we had an unannounced segment. Elias Sampson, or just Elias as it is now, came out to play his guitar, but the neck of the guitar broke. This, again, felt like a bad Monday Night Raw segment. I'm giving it a 1 out of 5 for the segment. I like Elias. I like his shtick. I think at times, doing it every week gets a little bit monotonous, but I think he's talented with it. I think there's something there. For this to happen and there not be a payoff that someone was screwing with him, like a Bobby Lashley that we find out on SummerSlam, it kind of just, it was one of my least favorite things of the show. And I like Elias. I think he's a guy that they could use in something better. Next up, we have Daniel Bryan versus The Miz. I got this one right. Paul picked wrong. I picked The Miz. My reasoning was I assumed that the feud's going to keep going. I thought this was an excellent match. I loved the screwy ending with Maurice giving The Miz something to hit Daniel Bryan with. It fits his character. It fits who The Miz is. It fits the narrative that Daniel Bryan's always getting screwed. Yes, I know we see the same story over and over with Daniel Bryan, but he plays the underdog getting screwed role so good. I enjoyed this match. I'm not a huge fan of The Miz, but him versus Bryan makes me really stand up and take notice. And I think Miz, a lot of my negativity towards Miz, I'm trying to let go because there were a lot of years where The Miz wasn't the best. There was a lot of time where he was one of the worst wrestlers on the show, but he's actually grown and became a very credible heel. So, to me, I'm going with it. I did like the match. I thought it was really good, actually. Next up, we have Finn Balor versus almost call him Brian Corbin. Now I'll call him Daniel Corbin. Finn Balor versus Constable Baron Corbin. We both picked this one right. We both picked up Finn. Everything I said about the squash match earlier in the night with Strowman squashing KO, I take back on this match because he brought the Demon Balor out. And once he brought the Demon Balor out, I thought to build that character, him destroying Baron Corbin really built the mystique and the aura of the Demon back. And it's been a while since we've seen him bust out the Demon paint, so as much as I didn't like the squash earlier, and I do like Baron Corbin, like I said earlier with Strowman, as much as I didn't like that, it felt Corbin sold it like the Demon was something different than Finn Balor. And I love that. That's one of the main complaints I've had about the Demon part of the Balor character is it's not treated differently. This night they actually did. They treated the Demon as something special, which we seen he became an unstoppable, basically killing machine. He became like the Predator in the Predator movies. So I enjoyed it. I give it a 5 out of 5. Probably one of my 2 favorite matches of the night. Followed up by my other favorite match of the night. Shinsuke Nakamura defending the United States Championship against Jeff Hardy. When I was talking with Paul about this match before the show, or while we were talking this over, because we talk about these things, I said to him, this match is going to be my sleeper for match of the night. And they delivered. I never really realized how similar these two are, but being different. They both come at wrestling at a totally different way than anybody else on the roster has or will. And it's refreshing. We both picked this right. We both picked Nakamura to win. This was my favorite match of the night, and I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. I really enjoyed this match. I think that this is a Nakamura that we need to see in WWE. We didn't get this Nakamura against AJ Styles, and we could have. I don't know what the disconnect was there, if it was what the agents were telling him, or I don't know what it is, because I've seen great Nakamura and AJ Styles matches before. I like this match a lot. I liked the two of them against each other. I like how they wrestled each other. I thought it was great. Not, like I said, Nakamura picked up the win. After the match, we see Randy Orton come out on the stage. He doesn't do nothing. He just turns around. So, get an Orton appearance. I guess he made a payday for that. Next up, we have the Raw Women's Championship, Alexa Bliss versus Ronda Rousey. We were both wrong on this. We didn't think they put the belt on Ronda Rousey this quickly. I thought it was a solid match. The kabuki makeup that Ronda wore took me a little bit out of it. I didn't expect that. It didn't fit her. There's some people that it fits. Ember Moon wearing something like that, or even earlier in the night when Becky Lynch had some war paint on her face, it made more sense. To me, Ronda's just Ronda. You just let her go, and she's one of the most marketable women there is. She's a huge star, not just in wrestling. People know her face, so when they put her on USA Today or ESPN or whatever, you want to see the face you recognize. I digress. I thought that Alexa would win with some chicanery, but she didn't. I give the match a 3 out of 5. It was solid. Probably my least favorite Ronda Rousey match of her time in WWE. She picked up the win. She is now the Raw Women's Champion. So, there's a lot of things we could do going forward with her. Overall, I thought it was a little bit too quick. Last but not least, we get to the main event of the night. The Universal Championship, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. We both picked this one right. We both picked Roman. Paul almost got me here because if you watched in our preview show, we put in a Money in the Bank provision that you could call a Money in the Bank and get bonus points. Well, he called it, and as you may have seen if you watched the show, Braun Strowman came down, announced that he was going to challenge. Brock Lesnar paid too much attention to Braun Strowman, got distracted, ended up losing the match. I don't want the rating I give this match to come off as an indictment on Roman Reigns. I'm willing to give good match qualities to wrestlers I don't like. But I give this match a 2 out of 5. Again, it didn't feel special. It didn't feel like Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns should. And it could be from the burnout. We've seen this match so many times now that this should have been Bobby Lashley's spot. This should have been Finn Balor's spot. Bobby Lashley wasn't even on this card, and I don't know why. It makes no sense. So, to me, it fell flat. It felt like Lesnar paid too much attention to Braun Strowman. He's smarter than that. Paul Heyman's smarter than that, so it doesn't feel like that fit his character. Roman winning, I have no problem with Roman winning. I thought he was going to win, and I do believe that if they're going to go forward and continue to keep Roman Reigns as face of the company, he needed this signature win at a signature show, and he needs to have a decent long reign, a long run with the title, much like John Cena's had before, much like Undertaker before him, much like Triple H. All the people you think of as the greats and the guys that were the top star in their era had a long reign, and we haven't seen that with Roman yet, so maybe this is the time he gets his 8, 10, 12 year and a half long reign with the title. Maybe not. Maybe they give up on him. Maybe. I think this is really sink or swim time for Roman. Either this gets the fan on his side or they move on to somebody else, because I honestly can't imagine them continuing to go forward with the reactions he gets, even though we've seen that they've been kind of stubborn with it. But like I said, I give it a 2 out of 5. It just fell flat to me, and it could have been the fact that it got late in the night. I'd already watched a lot of bad stuff. There was already 5 matches on the card that I thought were a lot better than this. So, to me, it just fell flat. Now, overall, Paul ended up getting 8 right. I also ended up getting 8 right, so we tied. Unfortunately, in our infinite wisdom, we did not come up with a tiebreaker this month. I don't know why. Normally we put one in. So we're both going to have to do the punishment. Now, I told you it would be a surprise. I'm going to tell you what it is because, unfortunately, I haven't been able to record that yet. What we're going to do, and this was Paul's suggestion since he won the last one, we're tying it into summer. Summer, a couple years back, there was the Ice Bucket Challenge. So we're going to bring that back. We're going to do an Ice Bucket Challenge. I'm going to do it in a separate video because I wanted to get this out because it's already 2 days beyond the show. And I wanted to get this review out part. But I'm going to separate that, and I'm also going to do another video where if you want to see my punishment, it's going to be another video on its own where I do the Ice Bucket Challenge. Now, the reason I couldn't do it, I live in Florida. I work during the day. By the time I get home, the past couple days it's been raining. And it's rained all the way till it's dark out. I'm not going to do the Ice Bucket Challenge inside my house because it's going to make a mess. So I have to wait basically till I have a sunshiny day outside, which you would expect in the Sunshine State, but we are in the middle of our rainy season. So there's that. That's the explanation why it's not here, but it is going to come. I've already talked to my brother. He's going to shoot it for me, and we're going to do it. All that being said, Paul's used his money in the bank. I still have mine in my pocket. We tied on this. Overall, I give SummerSlam a 2 out of 5. It fell flat more than it delivered. In comparison to the 5-match NXT card versus this 13-match, 14-segment show, NXT with minimalism put on a 10 times better show. And I think that's what's missing. They try to put too much into these shows. They should have dialed this back to less than 10 matches. And I understand that something about the way the network runs, that the minutes watched means something. So the longer the show is, the more minutes watched. I get that. But they need to dial it back to a rate where you're not having the fans tired and falling asleep halfway through the show, let alone at the end of the show. Too much of a marathon, way too long of a show, not enough to get super excited about. They could have trimmed 5 matches off the show and it would have been great. If they would have took out the Strowman versus Kevin Owens, the 3-way women's title match, even taking away some of the good matches, Ziggler versus Rollins, take away the Elias segment, and one of the 3 pre-show matches. Now we've trimmed it down and we've made a better, faster paced, less of a chore to watch the show. Basically, that's my opinion on that. This has been my review / recap of SummerSlam 2018. Paul, I'm waiting to see your video. We're going to see mine within the next few days, hopefully. But my name is George Coles, and this has been another episode of Heel Heat.